Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series, Explorations in Savitri, with our beloved Aswapati. Well, today we begin a new canto. We're in Book 4, the Book of Birth and Quest. We begin with Canto 3, The Call to the Quest, page 369.
So what this canto is about, it's a very interesting thing, but we will speak about it when we come to that point. Normally, man seeks the divine. In this canto, it is the divine who is seeking man. Call to the quest. In search of the right instruments, the right channels, who we have read earlier, are like her, were like her, made like her, God and nature one. We had read just the previous canto that none could come near. See, this is the line we read very beautifully on page 366 toward the end. Nowhere she found her partner of high tasks, the comrade of her soul, her other self, who was made with her, like God and nature one. So it is very interesting, how the divine chooses the instrument. This is a question which Nalnida raises in one of his talks, and a question which was even asked to Sri Aurobindo. See, if you see in the Gita, why Arjuna was chosen? Yudhishthir was far more truthful, honest, and morally much superior. Bhishma was the strongest among all the Kurus and Pandavas together. He could alone handle them. And along with that, look at the Tapa Shakti in him, that he had the Vardhan of Ikshamrityu. Vidur was the wisest, who was, in every way, he knew all about Rajniti, Dharma, and all these things. Why of all the people, Arjuna is chosen to give the Gita? He is neither the best archer, he is very good, no doubt about it, but he is not the very best. Given that Drona, Bhishma, Karna, they were all invincible. And so was Arjuna, but nor was he the most moralistic or ethical being like Yudhishthira. But something in him made him a fit instrument, so much so that Shri Krishna goes on to say that, we have together fought the battle of the ages. You don't know it. So here we have this call to the quest where, the right kind of instruments who will be the harbingers of change in earth nature. That is the call, and it starts with an experience of Aswapati. It's a very vivid, detailed, Sri Aurobindo describes that Aswapati is standing. Imagine, maybe he has a palace, and one of the balconies were looking through the colonnade of trees towards the sun. And in a moment, while in the midst of nature, he passes on to another dimension of consciousness. That's how it is described. The call, Canto 3, the call to the quest, a morn that seemed a new creation's front, bringing a greater sunlight, happier skies. Now that is the feeling he is having. It's like any other morn. But, came burdened with a beauty moved and strange out of the changeless origin of things. So this morning has come burdened with some message, something more beautiful, something greater to Aswapati. Now Aswapati will of course be described subsequently. So this morning has come, which is going to change future. An ancient longing struck again new roots. The air drank deep of unfulfilled desire. So the ancient longing, remember Sri Aurobindo's The Life Divine, the human aspiration, where he talks about the primeval longings, which are the very first things which have stirred human soul since he became awakened in his thoughts, since he became conscious that he has been moved by this desire for unmixed bliss, pure truth, all that has moved him, the search for the sense of a secret immortality. These are things which have moved mankind. This ancient longing gets into the background. In most people, we are oblivious, though we are still searching. When we want to secure our life through insurance, through lawyers and priests and all these people, we are looking for this secret sense of immortality, which we have lost. When we are in search of a pure bliss, unmixed truth, but very ignorantly. So, this is the ancient longing which suddenly awakens in some human being and changes his destiny. The air drank deep of unfulfilled desire. This desire is in the highest sense. The high trees trembled with a wandering wind, like souls that quiver at the approach of joy. So suddenly today something is going to happen, and they feel that experience. Now it is going on in Aswapati's being. So the whole nature is kind of reflecting his inner mood. And in a bosom of green secrecy, forever of its one love note, untired, a lyric coïl cried among the leaves. So, Sri Aurobindo's favorite bird, coïl. Lyric coïl. She is also crying in the leaves as if inviting to something. Coïl often comes in the change of season. So, she is inviting. Something is going to happen. So, there is a mood, the whole atmosphere is being prepared. Away from the terrestrial murmur turned, where transient calls and answers mix their flood. So not only transient calls, but also answers. So we are filled with, that's why one of the big problem of having too many books in our Indian thought is that we have lost the ability to question. And that's why when Sri Aurobindo says that how are we going to rediscover the capacity which we have lost, he says by going back to the same process that we adopted. And you know what he says? By questioning everything. That's how these books were born. How was Veda and Upanishad born? Nobody taught the rishis, this is Veda, this is Upanishad. They were carrying this quest inside. So this quest, if we have, the Vedas will reveal themselves in their own way. The Upanishads will flow like Ganges to Bhagirath. But this quest is important. So we have heard about the ancient longing, the unfulfilled desire, and now that when transient calls and answers mix their flood, King Aswapati listened through the ray. So instead of being lost in all this hum of, mental noise, he steps back and he's watching the sun ray, and suddenly another ray reveals, the ray of intuition which awakens in his heart. So beautifully Sri Aurobindo is blending material nature with an inner reality. Actually, this is an experience he describes in one of the letters, that while watching nature, and I myself distinctly remember, I remember the place. I had gone on temporary duty to a Air Force station called Chabua, God-forsaken place. And I remember on New Year morning, I woke up, and as I stepped out, the trees and the sun, and it was such an experience. It was like a very different thing altogether. Now, I can't put it into words. So sometimes nature becomes a trigger for something else. And you are not meditating at that time, you are not thinking of something, and it reveals. So that's the beauty of this experience. And the mother repeatedly says, all true experiences are when they come spontaneously. When you think, I want this experience, then your mind may play trick and form it, including experiences like Kundalini, giving you a vision. But we should not seek after experiences. We should seek after divine. And suddenly a cloud is rent, a veil is gone, and something, begins to reveal itself. So that's what is happening with Aswapati. Look at how beautifully he describes, a very beautiful description. King Aswapati listened through the ray to other sounds than meet the sense-formed ear. So these ears have been formed, eyes, all these senses, to register only impact of material things. So what about impact of subtle things? They are not tuned to that. There is an inner ear, there is an inner sight, but ordinarily it is suppressed because we are taught to suppress it as we go through education. If a child says, I felt like this, no, don't, you are imagining. So we suppress the inner faculties which are there in children. On a subtle interspace which rings our life, unlocked where the inner spirits trance-closed doors. The inaudible strain in nature could be caught across this cyclic tramp of eager lives, across the deep urgency of present cares. Now, you see this description, cyclic tramp of eager lives running around and, eager. Where are they running? Oh, I have this work, I have that work. The urgency, as if heavens is going to fall if this work is not done at this point of time. That is how we let time flow past. Earth's wordless hymn to the ineffable arose from the silent heart of the cosmic void. He heard the voice repressed of unborn powers, murmuring behind the luminous bars of time. So, Earth's wordless hymn, this ancient longing, Earth has been aspiring, all the aspirations of all the seers is there in Earth nature. And when we take a material body, we also inherit it. We just don't realize that, their work is somewhere in the subtle ether. And we inherit it also, the anguish of the globe, the challenges of the globe, but also the aspiration of those who have gone before us. And this is beautifully revealed in the Vedas. Rishis speak of the forefathers. You will see at some point they will speak of, we heard it, we received it from the forefathers. Who were the forefathers? Now, Mother described there was a tradition more ancient than the Vedas and even the Chaldean traditions, two ancient traditions, of which we remember nothing. But the Vedic rishis were the first one who systematically memorized it and gave it to earth. But this experience is not new. There have been, those who wandered, we don't know of them, from a previous cycle, and that they transmitted it, and those who heard it, the Vedic rishis, to their credit, kept it intact and then, followed those lines, had their experiences. But there were traditions before them. So it's a very ancient longing in the earth. So that Aswapati catches. And beautiful. Again, the mighty yearning raised its flame that asks a perfect life on earth for men. This is the original aspiration. Where did mukti and all this come in? I want to experience this, I want to experience that. This is not the original aspiration. Original aspiration is for a perfect life on earth. And if you see, we even in our ignorance are seeking that. It's because it is not perfect, therefore we turn to, either mukti or become vairagis, all these things. But if perfect life could be established here, original aspiration is that. And praise for certainty in the uncertain mind. You see, we were just discussing all this, Vivek, that, we were humming a song actually from one of the movies, Waqt. आगे भी जाने ना तू, पीछे भी जाने ना तू, जो है, जो भी है, बस यही एक पल है. But human beings think so highly of themselves. But the real thing is, if you look at real life, you can't predict what's going to happen the next moment. And if you look at it like that, it gives a lot of humility. With all your power, all your contacts, all your wisdom, all your degrees, you can't master fate. This is strange. And that's why fate is the challenge thrown to the human soul. That human soul is besieged by all kinds of forces of which man has no idea. And the day we master it means that day we have mastered all these forces. That's why if you want to master fate, you have to master yourself. That is the secret. Because when you master an element in yourself, you master corresponding elements in creation. That's why it's called Surat to Samrat. You master your physical nature, you master the elements. You master your vital nature, you master the animals and ferocious beings. That's why a tiger doesn't attack the yogi, because he has mastered his vital nature. So even the violent animals, if they come near you, they'll become quiet. You master your emotional nature and its turbulence, you will be safe and secure from all the hurts and pains that besiege us at every moment. Master the mental nature and you can develop the foresight about the future. So it's a mastery of all these forces. So otherwise there is uncertainty. and praise for certainty in the uncertain mind, and shadowless bliss for suffering human hearts, and truth embodied in an ignorant world, and Godhead divinizing mortal forms. Now remember the first passage of Life Divine? It's exactly that. But look at the andaz, how Shavindo puts it. Exactly the first passage. Primeval longings, ancient yearning of earth. And what is it? All the four things he mentions, except that sense of a secret immortality, he takes it one step further, divinizing the form. So it's not just immortality within. See, that's why Savitri is ultimate. Actually, look at it, the sense of secret immortality, Shavindo speaks of divinizing mortal forms. Otherwise, all the things are there: perfect life, certainty, shadowless bliss, truth embodied in an ignorant world, and Godhead divinizing mortal form. This is the ancient yearning. A word that leaped from some far sky of thought. This is called Akashvani in ancient scripture. Akashvani is not there is cloud and suddenly dhar and thunder. Akashvani is an inner condition where something within you speaks about life, about creation. It brings back our aspiration. Admitted by the cowed receiving scribe. So who is this cowed receiving scribe? Is the brain through which it gets transmitted. Traversed the echoing passages of his brain and left its stamp on the recording cells. So cells are only transcribing something which is coming from above. And that's why when people ask cellular yoga, so much is being written. Reading Sri Aurobindo is engaging in cellular yoga. Why? Because when we read, what is happening? Even writing. And there is a purely neurological reason for it. So when you read, what is coming into play? Your eyes. Okay. Then next is brain. And when you write, the eyes, the brain and the hands. So all this which you are reading and writing, your brain, eyes, they are receiving and transmitting. So when you hear Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, my choice is mother's words directly. Then what is happening? The brain or the ear, hearing organ, the nerves, they are all getting impinged by those vibrations and going back to the brain. And that's why she says, when you read Sri Aurobindo, don't try to understand. Whatever is necessary, Sri Aurobindo's reading, it will create new brain cells. These are her words. New brain cells necessary for the understanding. People often don't notice it. New brain cells means new brain cells. Nothing less. Brain cells necessary for the understanding. Because right now the brain cells are close to light. If there is too much light, they go off in sleep mode, like computer. So it goes into sleep mode because they are not used to. That's why we have this susupti and trance, because we can't keep awake in the light. But after some time, there are new brain cells which not only receive, they are thrilled with ecstasy and joy. So this is the yoga of the cells. So what does this voice tell us, Aswapati? It's one of my most favorite passages. I just, literally freak out on this. Oh, force-compelled, fate-driven, earth-born race. This is what we are. One line summarized. Force-compelled. We don't know who is compelling us for what. Whole day, we talk about me choosing, but where is the me and who is choosing? All is a conditioned thing which is going on. Fate-driven, which is what we discussed. We don't know what is going to happen the next moment. And earth-born race. Oh, petty adventurers in an infinite world. What is our limit? New Delhi to New York. And back through Cathay Pacific, through the other route. This is our limit. That's Jamwant had taken 7 times circle of the earth. That's what he is famous for. He had roamed around the earth 7 times. So, we are very proud. We have gone to all the countries. He is petty adventurer in an infinite world. There are domains beyond domains. Crores and crores of worlds which we don't know. That's how, Gangadharanji's experience. Many other mystics, they talk about Lak Brahmand. If you read in the ancient scriptures, even Guru Nanak, he talks about Lak Brahmand. There are lakhs of universes and planes of consciousness. But we are petty adventurers. Even that we are scared of going to some place, my mohalla is best. and prisoners of a dwarf humanity. Dwarf because its seekings are dwarf. Roti, kapda aur makan, bas itna hi pehlwan. That's all. This is a basic thing. You will get it anyways. There is so much more. How long will you tread the circling tracks of mind? So Sri Aurobindo is telling us through Aswapati. He's telling us how long? Circling tracks of mind. Morning to evening, this happened, that happened, why it happened, what all this analysis. Sri Ramakrishna put it so beautifully. He said, if your mind is like water, how much ever you may churn it, you will not get ghee out of it. First, make it concentrated into milk, knowledge. Then when you churn it, some essence or wisdom will come out. So how long will you tread these circling tracks of mind around your little self and petty things? If you really see, whole day, food, beyond food, that person, this person, my little life, my little issues, my little problems, that's it. Little joys, little griefs, but not for a changeless littleness where you meant. Not for vain repetition where you built, repeating the same course, birth after birth, going back to school with a bag, once again learning ABCD. You're not meant for this. It's something else. Out of the immortal substance you were made. After all, our soul is straight out of the Divine Mother's heart. And our body, it is nothing but the body of the Lord. Out of the immortal substance you were made, your actions can be swift revealing steps. Your life, a changeful mold for growing gods. Look at the word changeful mold. Fixed molds are not good for gods. Fixed molds are good for fundamentalists and fanatics. Gods have these ever growing, they are always growing. If you see the Vedic aspiration, so many times they are speaking of, oh flame, move forward, mount higher into vaster domains. Repeatedly this aspiration. They are constantly conquering new worlds by the expansion and growth of the flame. So you'll say, but who will help us, sir? We are alone? No. A seer, a strong creator is within. See how he has spoken of the divine in the heart. He is not only the seer, Sarvasakshi, but also the creator, one who has created these million worlds out of himself. With each breath he can create and destroy. So he's several places Sri Aurobindo has described the divine presence in unique terms. Here he is describing him as seer and a strong creator, both passive and dynamic aspect. A seer, a strong creator is within. We don't have to seek outside. The immaculate grandeur broods upon your days. There is this grace, this grandeur of the infinite which is always watching over us, waiting for us to just give a call. There is that famous one, no? That this world of delight, one of the messages of the mother, waiting at our gates for our calls to come. Just one, but we are not calling that. Somebody had beautifully written a short story, a diary in the of the divine, a page in the diary of the divine. So divine is writing a diary. I went to meet him in the morning. This fellow got up and rushed to the bathroom and shut the door on me. Then, I was waiting, okay, he will come ready and come. So on the breakfast table, I was trying to draw his attention, but he was busy thinking of the food on the table and the work at the office. Then suddenly he ran out with his briefcase and I ran behind him. But he sat in the car and shut the door upon me. And when I went to the office, he had no time to meet me, he had time to meet everybody. And so on, and he comes home at night, he thinks now he is tired, I can make him sleep in my lap. But he is not thinking of that, he is thinking of the next day and all the problems and the issues which I am ready to take. That's why Mother says every morning we must light up this flame of aspiration. First thing in the morning. And at one place she also says that send gratitude to, we have another day, good, one more chance. And every night once again to send her gratitude. So this is how a day can be, and of course in between as many times. The immaculate grandeur broods upon your days. Almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. So, this is the possibility that the very divine power, divine presence is shut inside cells which are made from chemicals and agenda. Mother speaks of this divine presence at the center of each cell. And she talks about conversations with the cells, where she's trying to convince the cells that, look, there is a divine presence inside you. Then she says one group of cells is understood, but the other group is not understanding. Then she picks up each cell and tries to explain. Can we imagine? And then she says, you don't have to do all this. I will do it for you. I am just revealing to you. You open to me, I'll do it for you. So look at almighty powers. A greater destiny waits you in your front. What is this greater destiny? A good job, good family life, good house? No, a greater destiny. What is this destiny? This transient earthly being, if he wills, can fit his acts to a transcendent scheme. Right now, we fit it to an individual ego scheme. Sometimes, some people are charged with the cosmic power to do some work. But transcendent scheme, the yet unborn destiny, the unborn powers, we can fit our acts to that. He who now stares at the world with ignorant eyes, hardly from the inconscient's night aroused, that look at images and not at truth. What marvelous line it is. And we think it is truth. The world is blinded by such truths. All nothing but images. All nothing but images. I saw this. What you have not seen is the most important part. I heard this. What you didn't hear is the most important part. So, look at images and not at truth. Can fill those orbs, the eyes, can fill those orbs with an immortal's sight. Immortals, not immortal sight, immortals, the gods. Gods can look into the future. So we can have a godlike vision. And then he says, this is our destiny, to fit our acts into transcendent scheme, to have eyes which can, look into the future, have the power that can wake up in the body cells. And then he goes on to assure us, and toward this destiny, the divine presence is in the heart, which is leading us towards it. Only it is waiting for us to call. That's all it waits. So, yet shall the Godhead grow within your hearts. Now he is giving an assurance. It doesn't matter, even if you don't know it. Yet it will grow within your hearts. You shall awake into the spirit's air and feel the breaking walls of mortal mind. This actually happens, though in mystic experience they use the word kapal bedan. And people describe it as a very figurative experience, that suddenly, there is a bursting of the skull and you experience the fire. But it can take other forms, like breaking of some shield over the head. And you are flooded with all levels of consciousness like rivers. That is how the Vedic Rishi spoke of the 7 rivers that used to drench them. It's a real experience. You can experience in countless ways. So knowledge can come pouring in. And feel the breaking walls of mortal mind and hear the message which left life's heart dumb. Imagine if there is something which you had never expected. What is this message? Just some of the prayers of the mother are like that. At one place she says, earth is crying to the divine, And she takes up all this falsehood and everything, offers to the divine, and the divine gives an assurance. And then she says, and I knew that the earth was saved. Or some of them, the force is here, that thy force in me is like a rising tide. There is a series of messages. The force is here. And this force is here to change us completely. It will transform earth life and shape it anew. Now this is a message which leaves the heart dumb. A new light shall break upon the earth, which she later corrected into a new light, has, come to earth. So this is the message, that this is our destiny. and look through nature with sun-gazing lids and blow your conch shells at the eternal's gate. The conch shell of victory. The victory over nature. Lord, I come not as a weak, chicken-hearted fellow. I am so tired of life. It is so painful. Help me, save me. No, I come as a victor of nature by thy grace, with thy help. And that's how I come. That's what should be our destiny. Authors of earth's high change, to you it is given. What is given to us? The task, work. It is not just working in a department or here and there. That is an outer work. It is only a preparation. What is the real work? Authors of earth's high change, to you it is given to cross the dangerous spaces of the soul. Just imagine, it's not easy. There are so many forces which will come in between, which will delude, misguide. In one of the places in Hymns to the Mystic Fire, Sri Aurobindo says, the soul of man is a world full of battle, where forces help and hinder the march. These are the gods and the titans. It's a battle. It's not as simple as sit, concentrate, interiorize, and you find the soul. Before the soul comes, the darkness will come. At first, she stepped into a night of God. What are you seeking? Soul? No, there is no soul. You remember when Savitri speaks of entering first the material consciousness, it doesn't give in. Then the vital, it fabricates the soul. Then the mind says, you have arrived, take rest, write your name in the book of the elite. You are now a chosen one. So to you it is given, to us human beings, to cross the dangerous spaces of the soul. That's why the mother calls it as the great adventure. It is the greatest adventure that mankind has ever undertaken. And touch the mighty mother stark awake. The divine mother who is waiting. Just imagine what would happen. Touch the mighty mother stark awake. There was once this queue where people were standing, and one girl suddenly fainted in the playground. They were standing to see the mother. And everybody said, no, let her be like this. Half an hour after that she recovered. Mother explained she wanted to see me as I am. Now she won't remember anything. By that sudden urge, she had a touch or a glimpse. How can we behold her with these death-bound eyes? So, but still, a little touch is enough to blow the fuse and break the nut bolts loose. That's why you see so many loonies floating around. It's not easy to bear that touch. And this is a very indirect touch. Through the layers of mind, through all our resistances. Touch the mighty mother stark awake. This is the rising of the Shakti which is inside us. This central experience of Shakti as she descends and opens all the centers. And meet the omnipotent in this house of flesh. And make of life the million-bodied one. Once again, crowded temple of delight. Make of life the million-bodied one. Not one who is cut off from creation. Everything in creation, you take it and turn it into, because there is a divine presence in everything. That's why one of the places Sri Aurobindo says, turn all things to honey. This is the rule of divine life. All things to honey. That's how the Madhumakkis do. And make of life the million-bodied one. The earth you tread is a border screened from heaven. The life you lead conceals the light you are. And then he continues further. Immortal powers sweep flaming past your doors. Jagannath Rath coming. Are you ready? Are you ready? That dream boat. Are you ready? Will you come? Yeah, but Lord, you know what? My child has to still, not yet grown up. Okay, I'll come back 10 years down the line. Are you ready? Actually, Lord, child has grown up, got married, but I just want to see my grandchild's face once. Grandchild is born. Are you ready? Are you ready? Lord, I am too old to now practice yoga and all this, but please reserve my place in the next life. Are you ready? Immortal powers sweep flaming past your door. So Sri Aurobindo is reminding us all these gods whom we worship, we go to temples, do Rahu Kalam, this Kalam, that astrology, all this. Man has the divine presence and he needs nothing. All these powers are within us and they can awaken. That's how, if you see the awakening Kundalini force, all the centers when they open, all the gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Ganesh, all the great gods are within us. That is what Savitri experiences, no? She was the beloved of the Lord. She was Radha and Krishna entwined in bliss. She was Brahma and the all creative word. She was Vishnu. I mean, all the things she experiences within us. But because we can't experience, there are temples where we go and remember that actually this is inside you. But we are comfortable taking a nariyal and breaking it, whereas the real nariyal, coconut, we have to break open is our head and let that water go away so that the real stuff will remain. Don't try breaking a coconut on your head. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. This is to be done by experts. But this is the coconut. Just imagine, This we don't break. We pick up a coconut and make the place dirty and break it open and think Ganpati will be very happy. For all you know, he must be getting cheesed off. But because he's a god, he has no choice. And people are going to worship and ask him boons. So he must be giving boons because he's a very benevolent, very jolly god. But actually all these are within. That's what all mystic literature has said this, by the way, that man can directly connect with the Supreme from the age of the Upanishads. And yet we don't believe in that. We believe in astrologers and that parrot wala fellow who will tell you your future. But this is here. Immortal powers, sweet flaming past your doors, far off upon your tops the God chant sounds. Where is the Vedas? It is also within us. Where are the Upanishads? They are within us. That's why Sri Aurobindo says, recover the lost Vedas, the Upanishads, the Gita. And then he says, recover them not only in your mind, but in your heart and life. That's where the original Veda and Upanishads and the Gita is. While to exceed yourselves, thoughts trumpets call, heard by a few, but fewer dare aspire. Some people hear, but give up very soon. Oh, this is too much, transformation or all. Give us some exercise. So there is a Babaji always sitting there who will give you some exercise. And you feel very happy when you pay 10,000 rupees and get some mantra. But here, nothing is to be given. What is to be given is your ego. That is too much. We are ready to give money and do a short crash course into nirvana. So, this is... And now he uses a very interesting term, the nympholepts of the ecstasy and the blaze. So this is again a Greek term. So nympholepts. Now nymph we know is a generic word for feminine energies. Sometimes they are regarded as energies of wood, spirits. But all the devis, if you have to use our words, devis. And who were the nympholepts? Nympholepts were those who were possessed by these goddesses. So there is a classic story, I have forgotten his name, Archimedes or somebody who used to be possessed in Greece by the nympholepts. So, and he used to that time make beautiful paintings and sculpture, and he has written beautiful things. They were goddesses through whom he was inspired. So these goddesses, when they possessed human nature, it turned into an ecstatic field of God expression. So nympholepts of ecstasy, they are waiting. All the great goddesses, Saraswati, Ila, Mahi, Bharati, they are waiting, Dakshina. An epic of hope and failure breaks earth's heart. Her force and will exceed her form and fate. But what we instead experience is hope and despair. A goddess, now he is describing the earth goddess, and we'll read few lines and then we will stop. A goddess in a net of transience caught. Earth is a goddess. And she hopes and she dares and she despairs because For aeons she has been trying, but she never gets tired. And she looks for some children who will embody this anguish and aspiration with which she is born. A goddess in a net of transience caught. Now imagine, you are caught up in a net. What is this net? Of things which are transient, but they make you forget the eternal. You are all the time running after these things. Self-bound in the pastures of death, she dreams of life. Self-bound because they are very alluring meshes. So she is caught in the nets of transience. But still she carries this aspiration and dreams of an eternal life. Self-racked with the pains of hell, aspires to joy. Out of her own choice, self-racked. Human beings choose the very things which will give them pain and suffering. At one place in her prayers, Mother writes, it is so strange. She is finding something strange. What is strange? That human beings keep away from the very things that will free them from this ordinary school fashioned almost entirely out of pain and suffering. And what is that? He says, to think of thee, to live for thee, is to soar in eternity. It is to breathe infinity. It is to escape from time and space. And then she says, how strange is the life of men that they keep away from the very things. They are scared of this. Or they keep it for, some God-forsaken old age. Self-racked with the pains of hell, aspires to joy and builds to hope her altars of despair. Again, ultimately that fire will be extinguished and so those fires it will light, but not the Akhand Agni. Knows that one high step might enfranchise all, and suffering looks for greatness in her sons. Earth goddess is waiting that there will be one deliverer, one Perseus, one Arjuna, one, of course, Sri Aurobindo is beyond just, but he is a child of earth also, who will come and deliver her. She is waiting, so she forms bodies after bodies after bodies after bodies, that there will be at least few children of mine who will deliver me from this state of agony in which I am plunged. Don't feel like stopping, but we will stop and continue. Not next Sunday and Monday, but next to next Sunday and Monday. Because next Sunday I won't be here.